Hello, friends, and welcome to the Cinemondo podcast with Kathy and Burk talking about movies.
And
You know,
comic books.
movies based on comic books. Has anybody done any of those? I mean,
No, no, this
yeah, I
isn't.
think
This is the first, I think, that comic book has been turned into a series or a movie.
maybe there's some others. I don't know. But of all comic books to turn into a movie, there's one series that's been going forever. It was around when parents were
Crazy.
kids,
And it didn't
grandparents were
change much
kids.
either.
It hasn't changed much
It's
at
not
all.
changed.
It's changed with the times, which is interesting because it's about the
Yeah,
same group of young people
yeah,
who never grow up. So they're like vampires who experience all these different eras
yeah,
of history, but they stay the same age. And it would be
yeah.
interesting if they addressed it in an episode. It's like, guys, we've been young for like 100 years now.
And they make it kind of satanic. Well, it kind
But
of that series Riverdale kind of went there. They made it kind of creepy and scary.
right. But we're talking about the Archie gang.
Archies. I read those as a kid,
Yeah.
and they look exactly the same, even
I
now.
know. I
It's so weird.
I remember reading them as a kid, and they were already really old. They were, like, really super old-fashioned when I was a
Crazy.
kid, and I'm really old, and, people that read comic books in the '50s, I think, is when they came out, maybe. Not really sure, but they
Yeah.
already, I think, were sort of old-fashioned even when they,
Yeah.
because it's about these sorta good kids, like,
Archetypes.
they yeah, they're not like rebel
Mhm.
kids or anything, even
No,
though during the late '70s they did, I think Archie and his
they
gang did start a
dabbled.
punk rock group for a
What? And it
brief
wasn't very
while.
punk, though. It was not very punk.
No, well,
It was kinda more new wave.
yeah, I think it was one of those things that were, Jughead put on
A
like a
leather
fuzzy
jacket. That was pretty much it.
sweater, a leather jacket, and he's like, "Guys, check me out, I'm punk."
Punk
And it
rock.
was that's what the Archies are. They kinda go through the eras of history, the cultural, pop culture things, and they sort of adapt
Mm.
to every new style, and,
Well,
now
this
they're really popular in, India,
Yeah.
the
Well,
Archie comics.
this is being, produced, written, and directed by, Zoya Akhtar, who did Lust Stories. That's also on Netflix, you can find it there.
Right,
And, they are basically taking the Archies and putting them in India. And you're
right,
gonna get the same group of characters, but they're actually gonna have been grown up in India. So I think that's a very interesting idea because really, when you look at there's a lot of cultural differences, but there's also a lot of similarities in what people want. They want kind of the
well,
same
yeah.
things. They want to have fun. They want to, find a girl or a boy who, depending on who you are, it's like
Yeah,
so. A lot of the things are the same. So when you transpose something like the Archies, it's a classic, and they're actually even setting it in the '60s, which I think is very
right.
cool. So let's take a look at this
These
and see
kids are
how
kids
closely do we recognize it.
no matter where you go in the
That's right.
world, teenagers are always going to be teenagers.
Teenager's gonna be teenager, and that's just how it
Yeah.
is. All right.
Ready?
Yeah.
And
अब है तो है हम क्या करें हम ख्वाबों के बादशाह रोको तुम जितना रोक लो पर हमको छूना है ये आसमां छूना छूना आसमां ये 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 हाँ
I love that idea because we're all really familiar with the Archies, and I love that they put a little extra spin on it. Look very stylized, like kind of like The Good Place, like where you're in this
yeah,
weird kind of artificial environment. and the town looks very, artificial but perfect, like in the weird perfect thing. And you recognize I recognized a lot of those people, who was Archie
Yeah.
and who was Jughead, and Jughead of course is eating and has a hat on. And
Right.
so, but I thought that was very cute. It was beautifully produced. I thought it was really
Yeah,
nice.
it looks like a really well made teen Americana film, like with the rockabilly music, which really isn't
Oh,
the style of
sweet.
music that the Archies played. They were sort of
It
a
was way
sugar
cooler
pop.
than what the Archies did. Yeah.
They were like total sugar pop, like
Mhm.
sugar,
Sugar.
sugar, sugar. Yeah, and that like yeah, it was of that time.
Yeah.
That was when sugar pop was the thing, and it sort of fits with their characters because they were sort of these really goody kids. They
Yeah.
weren't the Archies never went into dark territories. There was no, there wasn't the drug dealer, the neighborhood drug dealer, or the junkie, or the Archie with alcoholism problem. They didn't go
Okay.
into those places in the Archies. It was always just the happy, fun
Yeah.
daily lives of young happy people.
Yeah. And it's like it was bebop. So I think taking a little liberties with the music was okay, because it was still of the time, as that 60s kind of bebop, 50s, 60s,
Yeah,
a little bit of rockabilly, make it a little, but I love the wardrobe was amazing. Love the
yeah,
wardrobe. Like, just gorgeous production. So I I thought it looked like a blast. And like you said, this isn't about, you know, being serious or
right.
hard dark problems. Let's just have some fun. Everything's so depressing now. It's like, let's just have fun with this and just do it.
Yeah, it's like the ideal of teen life.
Hmm.
I think it's what a lot of people think. Unfortunately, a lot of people think, oh, the 50s were so fun and happy all the
Yeah.
time.
Well, yeah.
Everybody was completely happy, depending on which racial group you ask.
Yeah.
But
If you were straight white, sure.
yeah,
That was
and
awesome for you.
yeah, if you're not one of the people who's getting beat up and canceled out of your neighborhood,
Oh, seriously.
it's but people do have that idea based on the old ideas, like from TV
Yeah,
shows and things. Leave It to
that's
Beaver and
right.
Andy Griffith and all that.
Everything
That
seems so simple then.
people going out fishing and having
Yeah.
the party in the park with the gazebo and the band, and every night is a beautiful summer night with
Yeah.
the lightning bugs out there and the ice cream and sodas and
Riding your
hamburgers,
bike, you
riding your
know.
bicycles with your shakes and your cakes.
I know, I love how they showed
And
that big milkshake with big burger.
yeah,
Funny.
big shiny burger.
It was so funny. So we have I like how the poster looks kind of like an old album cover. I think that's pretty
Yeah,
cool. And the photography is pretty great. They look kind of attitudey. You see all
yeah.
the people there's
And
Jughead in the back with his hat on. That must
yep,
be Archie in the front. Archie in the front with the striped shirt on. That's definitely
I think
Archie.
so. And that
Yeah.
logo, that
Yep.
Archie's logo, that goes way back to the
Yeah.
beginning.
And the type design in the trailer itself, all the type design was also that same font, that kind of cool 50s, well, not 50s,
Yeah,
but comic book style from the comic book.
very
So
very
so
comic book
it looks like
style.
he didn't bring an Indian flair, like he didn't bring Indian culture to this. He brought American culture to India, which I think is an interesting example of what he's trying to do there, which I may just to
But the
see.
lyrics to the song, it's like this rockabilly song with Indian lyrics, and
Yeah.
I think, I mean, I don't know how they're gonna explain it, but it seems like you're in India, and then suddenly you're in this little bubble pocket of
Yeah.
Americana. Suddenly you're at the memorabilia shop in a small town just outside of California, where you can, go buy a jukebox or something.
Yeah.
It seems like like slightly strange. There might be some strangeness to the film. I'm not sure if there's
Like a
some like
fantasy,
like a
like
fan,
someone's
yeah, like
dreaming
some
it or something.
like a glass bubble fell down out of
Yeah.
space and encased this little town,
Yeah.
and they got somehow trapped in America, like Americana style.
Yeah. I'm
Or
interested
maybe
too that Zoya Akhtar is a female writer, director, and producer who works in Hindi films mostly. So I'm interested in see what she will do. It will be a female perspective, like give Veronica and give them a little bit more to do than
right.
they usually were, just kind of the objects of desire mostly, and they kind of have
Yeah.
their own mind, but they still took a big back seat to the men. So it'll be interesting to see if they bring them forward a little bit.
Yeah.
because there's only 2 of them in the whole group, you know. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with that. And you know, and they did show them a lot in the trailer, so they get a lot of screen time. So that's good. So
One
I'm
of the
very
things
interested
I
in that.
think is that was good about the old Archie comics was the fact that Betty and Veronica were actually sort of headstrong and kind of had their own, you know, they didn't take any crap from the boys.
Yeah, but they were all
And I
about what
think
boy they wanted. They were fighting over
right,
boys,
it's all
and so a
about
lot of it
boys, the
was
boys.
circled around the boys. So you know,
But
we'll
I
see.
think that's why the Archie comics were so popular with girls. I remember when I was a kid, superheroes and stuff were popular with boys, and horror comics and science fiction more sophisticated as far as the storylines. And Archie, not so sophisticated, but at least they were telling. I mean, they weren't terrible. The comics were fun.
No, they were fun.
They were
Yeah.
like episodes of a sitcom in the
Adventures. Yeah,
50s. Yeah, like
they're all
like the
squeaky
Dobie
clean.
Gillis kind of attitude.
Yeah. Well,
But
they definitely stylize this to look squeaky clean.
yeah,
So,
it's very
I'm interested.
stylized, and
It's
then again, it
fascinating.
looks like there's a whole lot of dancing and singing, and there's probably going to be that, you know, happy, like joyful celebration of filmmaking and celebration of life and simple ways. And you know that
Yeah.
the ideal of that, what that era represents to some people. I mean, to some people, it represents something pretty dark and horrible, but in America, and to other people it represents simpler
Yeah.
times before cell phones and before social media and before, you know, people hated each other because of their politics and all that. And you know, maybe we can learn something from the
That's right.
Archies.
Maybe we could. And the dancing
Yeah.
looks way better in this than most Archie
Yeah.
products. I'm just saying. Way better. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So let us know what you guys think. Were you Archie's fans? Are you? Is this look seem really surreal to you, or like, yeah, sure, we love the Archies. This was not a big deal. I don't know. I have no idea how this can be, you know, viewed, but I think it looks fascinating. I can't wait to see how they handle this.
Yeah. There's been
I'm
so
up
many
for a new
different
Archies.
Archies things. We
Yeah.
had series and things like that here, live action
Well, they
and
turned
movies.
Riverdale turned Archies into horror. So
Riverdale,
really, you
yeah.
can do anything you want.
And the
So
comics
there
are
you go.
still, you can still go buy Archie comic books out there.
So funny. I love
Yeah.
it.
It's
I was
crazy.
more of a Scooby-Doo girl myself, but you know, that's just me.
Similar vibe.
Yeah, a group of friends.
Yeah,
Bunch
solving
of people.
crimes.
Solving crimes. All right. See you guys later.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.